Morning, evening, welcome to MPAI 600, week 7 here at MPI 600 Applied Intelligence here at Georgetown School of Continuing Studies. Just a couple of announcements. Uh, oops. Okay, there we go. Announcements, Zoom session, 11 December, Tuesday, 11 December, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Groups 4, 5, and 6 will brief. You will brief on assignment 3, and whatever you want to brief from assignment. There's several choices. It's completely up to you, completely up to the group. I think we had a really good Zoom session this past week. We're looking again 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, PowerPoint based, and how you want to brief it. If you want to have one person brief it, you want to have your whole group brief it. That's completely up to the group. For the rest of you, assignment 3 is due 16 December. 16 December, that's the last day of class. I will not be offering too many extensions because that is the end of the semester. And then the final, which I've released to you, is due 16 December as well. So a lot coming up these next few weeks, so don't lose track of the assignments or anything like that. And then finally, course evaluations. Those are the end-of-term course evaluations that at least let us know. One, please do them. It lets us know what we need to work on, what we need to improve, what we need to sustain for this class. And as a reminder, you'll probably get me again for a future class. So it behooves you to want to make sure that I've hit the objectives that you're looking for this course and this program. I'd also add that, pardon me, on 11 December, I'll also do a job talk. For those of you who aren't briefing at 10:30, just if you want to come up and discuss jobs and careers in the federal government, I know a couple of people had questions on that already. I will be happy to discuss that face-to-face with you then. So paper 2, I've marked it. If you haven't gotten a paper back or grade back, that means you did not upload the PowerPoint. So please upload the PowerPoint. It's mainly when we get audited. I want to make sure that the auditors want to make sure that there's a product in the assignment 2 slot, that I'm not just giving grades willy-nilly. So if you haven't gotten your grade back, that's why. So what a couple of things I've saw passive voice. I think people think they know what passive voice is, but mainly don't. That first sentence here, and I don't mean to talk like your 10th grade English class, but that first sentence is subject, verb, direct object. That is an active sentence. Passive, direct object, verb, subject. If you have it, again, reversed, and you have multiple sentences that are passive, it takes away from your writing. Please try and be as active as possible. And it goes to, I do this in my day job. I'll write down subject, verb, direct object, indirect object, like I'm labeling something for a high school English class, just to make sure I've got my sentences active. That's the best way to do it, to make sure your writing is clear. A couple of things. Tell me what the decisive variable is. If you think that curveball or humid was the decisive variable, say that in the Iraq WMD case. But you have to prove it. One, you have to prove it along the lines that it had cascading effects, and I would agree there. But you also have to show that that was the decisive issue. Curveball statements regarding bioweapons and mobile biolabs was what sold the Iraq War, the primary issue that sold the Iraq War. So show me, again, drill down on that one issue. And then you have to ask the question. I've brought this up several times. Some of you identified, lack of information at Pearl Harbor, lack of information at 9/11, and you all did a good job of that. But you also have to ask, if the decision maker had the information, what decision would have been made? If the policymaker had the decision, could certain of actions have been taken at Pearl Harbor because the commanders on the ground had access to the intercepted codes and magic and all those things? Would they have made a decision? Would the FBI have opened an investigation into the 9/11 hijackers if the NSA had passed on the information regarding voice intercepts, signals intercepts between San Diego and Yemen. You have to tell me decision, action, which would have mitigated risk. So please do that. That's very important. Some people did that. Most people did not. And that's what I was looking for this paper. But otherwise, I think solid efforts by everyone. Pretty much hit what I was looking for. And if there's issues or questions, I've talked to people on the phone, and I have no problem talking one-on-one with you about the paper and what you think needs to be improved for the final or for other assignments as well. So week 6 review, lone wolves. I keep mentioning this, even though we talked criminal intelligence, but it's still relevant. You know, when we have these shootings, I call it minding the gap between indicators and arrestable activity, whether it's radicalization, mental health issue, or what have you. But there's always a gap, and how do we close that gap is a question that is going to be part of your final, and I want you to think about it as a real-world issue. And then access to equipment by known individuals. That's kind of what I always rest. I hate to say gun control, but that's one of the issues that people do bring up is how does a guy who's on a terrorist watch list or a mental health watch list or known mental health get their hands on an AR-15? So CompStat, that was a big part of your week 6 readings. Was it the decisive factor for the decline in crime? A lot of you said that, and I just want to be wary that be hesitant at someone who says that CompStat was a decisive factor when their salary is based on the effectiveness of CompStat. It did give a focusing factor for police authorities, but then you see in the paper, police, just like any other, when you have accountability, people, whether it's standardized tests for teachers, people train to the test. They don't necessarily solve the larger underlying economic issues. And there could be other factors for the decline in crime as well. Demographics, better economy. The Freakonomics article is the abortion rate. And I'm not going to get into abortion here in this class, but people said that because the abortion rate went up after Roe v. Wade, the people who would be committing crimes were aborted. I'll let you decide. And then I asked CCTV forensics, as you saw in the Boston Marathon documentary, is this applicable as a post-incident tool? How applicable is this for crime prevention? And a lot of people have spent a lot of money on CCTVs and different forensics. But you have the Boston Marathon case, which is a high-profile case. But would the tools used in the Boston Marathon, as all of you identified, be applicable for lower-level crime? Would all resources be identified, or do we need to proliferate CCTVs and other of those investigative tools to decrease the crime rate? I'll let you decide on that, but I hope you can give the proper scrutiny it deserves. So week 7, I think we're business intelligence. We're honored to have Dr. Gilad, an interview with him that I did that covers, he's one of the founders of business intelligence. And for this case study, when we're looking at business intelligence, there's a lot of different facets to look at, whether it's risk, whether it's insider threat, those types of issues. What I'm really looking for is, for this segment, is advantages in same industry. So ask yourself why Best Buy beat out Circuit City, for those of you who remember Circuit City for that long ago. How did CVS essentially beat out Walgreens and Rite Aid? Same industries, same products they sell, but there are certain variables that led one to success and another to failure. And we'll do the case study is the Zune, the iPod versus the Zune. Some of you might not remember the Zune, but that was a Microsoft flagship product, and it turned out to be a failure. So the question is, in similar industries, similar markets, why do certain companies, what do they do to rise to the top while others essentially fail? And then look at the applications to national security issues. Just for most people are focused on national security issues in that course. So think about, again, what you can learn from these variables or for studying these companies that, if you're interested in, could be brought back to the national security, homeland security space. So if there's any questions or issues, let me know, and I will see you in the next Zoom session.